What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.
What's up, Fantasy Points? This is the DFS cage match for week 16. If you're new here, we are going to be drafting DraftKings teams against each other just for a 3-person contest for the 3 of us on the screen. Every week it is me and it is Jake Tribbey, and we have a rotating guest. This week our guest is John Proctor. If you're a Fantasy Points subscriber, you probably know John does a lot of content at Fantasy Points, including the Sunday morning breakdown with Scott Barrett. We're going to be drafting for charity. We will get into some of those charities in a minute. But first of all, Johnny, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to see that Jake dressed up for the occasion. I got my gingerbread tie on, and Neil, flannels are always in, right?
It's a red flannel, which is, kind of Christmassy. So Jake was saying that you and I are not in the Christmas spirit, but clearly that's not the case. Me and Johnny also feeling Christmas right now. Jake, though, Santa hat. I mean, it's working, I think. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I think it is. I think this is a good look for me. Might be something I push a little further than Christmas. But yeah, doing good. Stronger than ever, despite another tough week in week 15 in the DFS cage match.
Yeah, for those counting at home, Neil now 8-6. I mean, in a 3-man contest to be 8-6, that's just unheard of. Just dominating these cage match streaks. We'll see if Johnny brings what it takes to beat me, because Jake clearly can't. We'll get into, but before we get too deep into the trash talking, I suppose we should go over the charities that we're going to be playing for this week. And starting with my charity from last week was the Michael J. Fox Foundation. Of course, my dad, as I said, was diagnosed with Parkinson's earlier this year, so just wanted to support a Parkinson's organization. So this Michael J. Fox Foundation getting $100 for the win last week. Jake, going back to beloved Asheville. Jake, do you want to say a few words on why you chose beloved Asheville?
Yeah, great local grassroots organization in Asheville. Obviously, the area needs the help now more than ever. So hopefully, this is the week I can finally get them their much needed help.
Yep. Johnny went with Toys for Tots. Johnny, do you want to say a few words about Toys for Tots?
Yeah, I just figured I'd go with the sort of the chalk Christmas charity before with Christmas coming up. Since I didn't have a Santa hat to wear, I figured I would go with Toys for Tots. I live in sort of a small town in Western Maryland, and if I picked any of our local charities, people would think I was probably like funneling it into my own Ponzi scheme or something like that. So I went with something a little more well known.
Yeah, good call there. Great one for the season. Again, feeling that Christmas spirit. I am going with Mid Minnesota Legal Aid. I actually worked with them for a summer while I was in law school. Great organization. They do a lot of great work for people who need legal aid but cannot afford to pay for their own lawyers. So they have lawyers that help out. Great organization here in Minnesota. All right, let's get into before we get into drafting, we got to do our reviews of last week's teams. And Megan's team kind of fell apart on her. Johnny, as the guest, going to ask you to give a quick review of how do you feel about this team for a 3-man contest last week?
Yeah, I think it's always tough to play Will Levis, the week before he gets benched for Mason Rudolph. But I feel like with Christmas coming, Megan should have known that Levis was going to collapse, get benched, and Rudolph would take over, because that is just what we do for the Christmas season in recent NFL years. And I'm hoping Mason Rudolph will keep that trend going. And I also, it's unfortunate. I feel like she probably was hoping McConkey would be out and Palmer would be a stronger play. But yeah, Derrick Henry, what a disappointment. I feel like everyone pretty much got let down there.
Nobody saw that one coming. Derrick Henry against the Giants just felt like the absolute smash spot of all smash spots. Tennessee had that great matchup with Cincinnati. I thought at the time this lineup made a lot of sense. In retrospect, does not look so good. And of course, David Montgomery now got hurt. I don't know if he got hurt during the game, if he lost any playing time. Okay.
Yeah.
So that one hurt. Getting spend big money on a player whose team put up 42 points and you get 7.5 points out of him just did not go well for Megan. Jake, on to you. Your team got second place last week. Some hits, some misses here. How do you feel about the team?
Yeah, overall feel pretty good about the team. Obviously, we drafted on Wednesday, so I was really hoping Bucky Irving would sit. Rashad White still ended up getting me a decent score, but I mean, his projection would have been 10, 12 points higher had there been no Bucky Irving. Mixon suffered an in-game injury, and I think that cost him a couple drives there, which was also tough. Really didn't get any big scores from anyone on this team, even though overall it was a pretty strongly projected team. Neil actually beat me in raw projection last week by a couple points. I would have if Bucky Irving sat, but with Bucky Irving in, Neil ended up being the projection king and the overall king, besting my wonderful lineup by a pretty sizable score, Neil, because as we will see shortly, you hit the stone nuts with your stack.
I did. My stack went absolutely often, and I just want to state for the record that my team always projects the best in the Neil's head projections. So once again, just projecting the best as usual, and dominating as usual. Before we move on, I got to say, Elijah Moore, Jake, you tricked me into playing a lot of Elijah Moore in DFS last week. I thought it was a great spot. I thought he was going to crush, and just absolutely fell on his face.
I tricked myself as well. My two big conviction plays last week were Amon-Ra and Elijah Moore, and one of those worked out really, really well. And yeah, Elijah did absolutely nothing. We got the Jameis implosion game. I mean, just really could not have been much worse than that. And you always know that's in the cards when you're dealing with guys catching passes from Jameis Winston. You just hope it's not when you actually click their name.
Yeah, FanDuel really tricked us into playing him too.
What was his price tag low? Oh, you mean Moore?
Like 4,600 or something.
Oh,
I think he was 4,700, and the other guy, Michael whatever, was 4,600. The other Browns receiver that I also played. Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks getting benched, I cannot tell you how disappointed I am with Jameis Winston being benched this week, because I have in 3 of my 10 non-rookies and sophomores best ball teams remaining, I have Jerry Jeudy, and he's legitimately like a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 while Jameis is playing, just like who you got kind of late. So kind of kills him. I think he goes from he's a legitimate wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 to couldn't play him in a season-long league with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So absolutely kills his value. Maybe David Njoku kind of, because he's a tight end, retains some of that value. But man, I don't know. That's brutal for anybody relying on Browns pass catchers in the playoff weeks, having Dorian Thompson-Robinson there.
You'd have a hard time thinking of a bigger swing, outside of the highest end quarterbacks going from Josh Allen or Joe Burrow to a backup. Jameis to DTR is, a comparable swing to those guys sitting, which is wild for fantasy.
It almost feels like your receivers got hurt. It's yep, just lost him for the season because they're so unplayable at this point. Like Jake said, I got the absolute nuts stack with Aaron Rodgers. I guess the double stack with Garrett Wilson was not didn't need the Garrett Wilson part of it, but Aaron Rodgers hit 30 fantasy points. Devonta Adams, 46 fantasy points. Absolutely insane. And apparently Devonta Adams had a 0 at halftime. So, that worked out pretty well in the second half there against that putrid Jacksonville defense. I did the running backs against each other thing, which I don't love to do, and it didn't really work out. Rico Dowdle had a fine game. Judy did give me that one last strong performance. Played a lot of that Dallas Carolina game where really none of it worked out that well. Hubbard was a disappointment. Dowdle, pretty good, not great. Thielen was fine, but not great for the price tag. Ferguson let me down. Everything kind of bad there. But just that Jets double stack basically carried my team here. 90 points out of the double stack feels pretty good. So worked out pretty well last week. We're going to get into the draft now. So 2 things. First of all, I don't know what happened to Jake. Is he just so embarrassed? I bet he's just so
the Rodgers double stack, and he just puked. And
he just could not do it. Yeah, that discount double stack right there from Rodgers. Exactly. Johnny, you are going to get to choose your draft spot here. So I don't know if you've given any thought to where you might want to draft, but as the guest, we allow you to choose if you go first, second, or third, and it's a snake draft.
Yeah, I'm gonna go first.
Okay. We'll have to wait until Jake gets back. I also have to remember Jake and I go back and forth as far as which of us goes first. And I don't remember. Actually, I can probably figure it out by looking at our teams. I'll try and remember that while Jake is returning. All right. So I think Megan went first and took Derrick Henry, maybe. And then Jake took, I'm pretty sure I went third last week, and I took Rico Dowdle. Maybe Jake will remember when he's back. Oh, Jake's here. Jake, do you remember which of us went first last week? Yeah, you're back.
I believe you went first, but
Okay.
I don't remember entirely. Also, I'm on a Wi-Fi hotspot, so if I drop again, I apologize, but I'm restarting my my Wi-Fi.
Oh, are you traveling? I didn't.
No, I'm at home. I have no idea why my Wi-Fi just randomly dropped. And we're in a tough spot because like I'm in an apartment complex where we have one internet service provider, so they can basically do whatever they want to us, and they do for sure. They really take advantage of that, unfortunately.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right. So you go. So Johnny's going first. You go second. I go third. Is that the? That's what we think is the case this week. We'll go with that. Johnny, do you know who you want with your first pick?
Yeah, I feel like we finally got Bell Jameer Gibbs, so I got to go first and take him.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the chalk pick, kind of what I assumed you would do there. Only 7,500. No concerns about that Chicago run defense. I guess they haven't been that good.
No, I think Chicago stinks, so I'm good with Gibbs.
Yeah. Looking at like top point per dollar plays, like kind of hard to argue with that one at all. Jake, Gibbs off the board. Do you know who you want second?
Yeah, pretty massive gap between Gibbs and the next best pick on the board. If Gibbs was looking at 60% of backfield XFP and he maintained his current efficiency, he would be the RB2 over the full season, averaging almost 24 DraftKings fantasy points per game. If he earned 70% of backfield XFP, he would average 28 DraftKings fantasy points per game, which would be the most by any running back since 2019 Christian McCaffrey. I mean, this is such a great end of season run out for all the Gibbs truthers out there. This is tough because I feel like there are pretty high end guys at the onesie positions in terms of raw value. Probably not a huge drop off at running back, but I don't know if I want to take a shot on either of those guys. I'm just going to go with James Conner. I feel like he's pretty clearly the next best running back pick. Amari DiMercado, Trey Benson, both dealing with injuries. Great matchup for Conner. He led all running backs in expected fantasy points last week. Really, really strong spot against Carolina. And we've seen, Arizona's really at their best when they're running this offense through James Conner. And I think we'll keep seeing that as the weeks wear on.
Yeah, Conner, against Carolina, that's a spot that kind of stood out to me immediately this week. All right, so then it comes back to me. Two of the top off the board. All right, I'm going to go. Wait, just double check some things. All right. I have some ideas about what I want to do. Looks pretty different. The projections look pretty different depending on where you look. It's kind of interesting. I am going to go with Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby Myers, man. So I have a home league that's like not for big money or anything, but I lost the first round of the playoffs on that last Jacoby Myers catch.
Oh God.
The last 10 seconds of the game. So I'm mad at him,
I'm also, so I was winning a showdown contest for like halfway through the third quarter, through most of the fourth quarter in that one. And just like we got to the point where it was like just needed, it didn't just need this, but basically I thought if the Raiders weren't able to, like, if they got stopped on fourth down, it would have the Atlanta would have basically run the clock out, or at least would have tried to run the clock out. So it was like, that's all I really needed. And then they just kept on getting like fourth down conversions, third down conversions for like, after struggling the entire game on that final fourth quarter drive, they kept on going. And then Amir Abdullah scored the touchdown and knocked me out of from winning like $8,000 on the day to losing money on the day, which was pretty brutal. And then of course then Atlanta actually was not able to sustain a drive, so they actually got another chance. So I wasn't even right about like all they need to do is stop them, but still hurt kind of bad there. That I felt like I was on the verge of winning like $8,000 and ended up losing money.
That's an average showdown experience right there.
It is. It was a smaller field contest. So like when Amir Abdullah scored the touchdown, I was like crossing my fingers, like maybe nobody has him in this. It was the $33. But of course, Utica just had like several lineups past me immediately with that. So that was kind of brutal. Stalling a little bit because I'm debating what I want to do here. Do I want to go? I think I'm going to go with a Bears receiver here. I think I'm going to go. Let me see. Let's see which one I prefer. It's close. I'm going to go DJ Moore. I'm going to go DJ Moore with this spot. Detroit defense extremely banged up, so I feel like somebody on the Bears should be able to put up points. Why
16 players on IR for the Detroit Lions. I mean, it's like I wrote up Caleb Williams earlier today for Scott Barrett's slate breakdown, and I didn't really even look at any of the matchup statistics because why do they matter when every single player on the defense is hurt, right? Yeah, it's just I think we could put this defense in the same category as, the Cincinnatis and the Carolinas of the world, regardless of what they did earlier in the year. All right, I'm on the clock, right?
You're on the clock.
Okay.
You are on the clock.
This is tough. I think I'm going to go. Yeah, I see a pretty big drop off at tight end, especially in the punt range after this guy. So I'm going to go with Brenton Strange here. Really, really strong value. Great usage last week. You just look at his numbers in games where there is no Evan Ingram. And he's been great, paying off roughly 3.5, 4x his DraftKings salary in those contests. Pretty strong matchup here against Las Vegas. One of those games where, it's a terrible offense against a terrible defense. So hopefully should be able to move the ball a little bit. And we did see a little bit more from Mac Jones this week. So there are at least some reasons to be optimistic about this. This Jacksonville offense. The Q tag does worry me slightly, but I know I saw some of the Twitter injury guys saying that, based on all the info they had, they expect him to play this week. So hopefully he does, because like I said, there is a significant drop off at punt tight end after Strange. Then you'd be looking at guys like Chigo Konkwu, Noah Fant. It gets pretty tough after that.
Not pretty. I'm seeing several friends around the industry are in chat, and apparently we had some description issue. Johnny Proctor, not Meg, because we had the Dog Pound was in here earlier saying, sorry fellas, I'm team Meg on this one. Already had Meg on last week, so you can't cheer. You got to choose between one of us three this week instead of Meg. Good to see Tyler and Stephanie in chat also.
Why does Tyler think my Christmas magic won't work? What's that about?
Yeah, I guess because nothing you've done has worked. It's probably just the reason.
Yeah, but Christmas magic. I mean, come on, that can turn the tide.
If anything can do it,
for sure. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe this is exactly what you need. In which case, if you win this week, it doesn't really count. It was really the Christmas magic. But if I beat you with Christmas magic on your side, then then
I'm in real trouble. I'll just keep wearing the Santa hat. If I win this week, we'll wear the Santa hat until the wheels fall off. Yeah. Thank you.
Good idea. Proctor, you have Jahmyr Gibbs. Do you know who else you want on your team?
I think so. Yeah. We're gonna go with Juwan Jennings. Just sort of steadily been important peg in this offense. And I think after the weird rain game, people are not really on the 49ers, and I'm good to get back on them.
Yep. And then you have a second pick.
Yeah. Now that's what I have to stall for. Let's see here.
While Proctor figures it out, Neil, I want to ask you, are you going to be, the usage, the way he's been playing hasn't been great, but are you going to be tempted at all by a $5,200 Deebo Samuel in tournaments?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Well, at least not in this one. Maybe in a 150 set, I'll have a little bit of exposure, but man, it's been bad. And it just doesn't look like it's improving.
Yeah.
The price tag is so low that I get it if people want to play him, but man, that's tough.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah. Especially when you're one of these hyper efficient guys who's just excellent at breaking tackles. You lose a step and all of a sudden you're you're what Juwan Jennings used to be,
Yeah, they flipped roles. I mean, not exactly flipped roles, but flipped fantasy relevancy, I guess.
Guess I'm gonna go Hunter Henry. Need to shore up my cheap tight end here. Not many good cheap tight ends this week.
No, it is a little bit barren with the cheap tight ends. All right, so you have Jahmyr Gibbs, Juwan Jennings, Hunter Henry, 54-16 left per spot. Going back to Jake for your third round pick with 56-28 left per spot.
Yeah, this is sort of debating what I want to do here. I think I'm just going to go with the cheapest quarterback available and draft Michael Penix. Insert Penix into my lineup. I know Tyler will really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just dirt cheap. I'm a little concerned with the game environment. Atlanta's massive 8.5-point favorites here. They probably don't get pushed by New York. But yeah, the price is just way too good. He gets you 14 to 16 DraftKings points. You're in an okay spot, I think, especially for a 3-man format. It'll probably be right there as the cash quarterback this week. It seems like it's shaping up as either him, AR, or Caleb Williams. I don't know if Proctor has an early lean on cash QB, but it really does feel like Penix enables you to, get the studs in there.
I think as of right now, if we don't have any value, Jahmyr Gibbs is a value, but he's not a 4,500 value. I think if no real value opens up at running back or tight end either, then you're probably going to have to go to Penix, I think, just sort of by necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am not extremely familiar with Michael Penix's game. Does he run at all? Okay.
No.
Interesting.
He's he can move, but he's not like a runner.
Okay. Yeah. So if I remember right, his scramble rate was like nothing in college, even though he is an okay athlete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Joe Burrow-ish or like
I'd
Justin
say more
Herbert
like Jameis.
Okay. Geez. So it doesn't run at all. Interesting.
That's probably a good comp.
Interesting. Well, hopefully he throws like Jameis also. That would be fun for Atlanta players. All right. Back to me. And I am going to continue leaning into Chicago a little bit against banged up Detroit. I'm going to take Keenan Allen at 5,300. So now I've taken 3 relatively value on a slate where we don't really have real value, sort of value-ish wide receivers to make things a little bit easier for me, but it's tough. It's a tough slate. I'm not gonna lie.
If I'm in chat or even as a host, this is where I really start paying attention. Whenever Neil takes a double stack on the cage match, it's pretty much a lock that double stack is going to score 100 points. So this is clearly a Caleb Williams doubles kind of week, and I mean it's shaping up as a pretty good week for Caleb anyway. So all signs are pointing to being all in on the Bears in tournaments.
Yeah, and that's because I'm really, really smart. It's not because I get lucky in the cage match.
Yeah,
to be clear.
Yeah, of course. Depends who you ask, but I will agree for now.
Thanks, appreciate that. All right. Interesting.
Well, Neil stalls on this one. We did have a couple questions in the chat. One was for flex spot, Shakir or Jalen McMillan. I feel like you kind of have to go Shakir. Maybe if I was chasing by a good bit, if I was a huge dog, maybe you could argue McMillan has a little bit better upside, but the volume says secure for Shakir. He's just not getting anything downfield. His catch rate's like 95% because his average depth of target's like 4 yards. And then Jaden Daniels or Kyler Murray. I don't know if I have a strong lean on that right now. I really don't like Kyler, so I'd probably just go with Jaden Daniels. I know Proctor agrees with me on Kyler.
Yeah, God, Kyler.
Not a fan of Kyler. I think I'm relying on Kyler a little bit in some best ball.
I guess I'm just not a fan of projecting Kyler. You just never have any idea what the hell is going on.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I think it's tough when all the film guys are saying this is the worst designed passing offense in the NFL. I mean, we know Kyler is capable of being a superhero. I mean, especially in the first 8 weeks, he had 2 or 3 games that were right there as the best quarterback game we've seen all season, but just can't put it together for fantasy. I think because the offense is just too poorly coordinated on the passing front.
So I got to say, prior to I just realized that I had all games in my filter. So I was at some places where I was looking at projections. I thought Jake Ferguson was going to be available to me to throw in as a cheap tight end, and that is not the case. So I was like, man, you guys are talking about these like no value at tight end and not even mentioning Jake Ferguson, and now I understand why that is. So maybe instead of, because I'm not going to be able to take a value tight end, I'm debating going after one of these more expensive tight ends. I think that this is the week, and it's kind of a toss up for me between these two because great matchups for both Bowers and McBride. I think this is the week that Kyler is just going to force Trey McBride into the end zone. I think he actually like commented like this is the week he's going to, or like said soon he's going to find the end zone. I think this is the week that Trey McBride finds the end zone. So I'm going to throw him into that tight end spot. Narrative Street, baby. That's where we live. All right. Thoughts on that one?
I just thought it was hilarious that they gave him that like Travis Kelce style shovel pass and he got tackled
right, and he still couldn't get there.
And if memory serves right, haven't there been multiple plays this year where McBride was like wide open in the end zone, like jumping up and down and waving his arms, and Kyler either just like missed him or threw to someone else or whatever. It's always really, really tough when there are guys who are just appear cursed, can't find the end zone. But that's what expected touchdowns are for.
I do think in his career, at some point, he's going to score a touchdown. It's my belief. What do you think?
I think I'd line up with that. Although he did break Deontay Johnson's record for the most consecutive receptions without a touchdown. And, with the way Deontay Johnson's career is unfolded after, this might be a pretty bad omen.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right. This is tough. I'm going to go with Jerome Ford. Not like the best point per dollar play, but I think they're going to lean on Jerome Ford quite a bit. Maybe this is dumb because they're just not.
Did you get an extra pick? I feel like you gave yourself an extra pick.
I don't think so. Wait, did I?
No, because I have 3 guys.
Oh, you're
Proctor
right.
has 3 guys, and this would get you up to 5. Oh, this no wonder he's got such a good cage match record. Every week he tries to pull some shit like this.
You gotta bend the rules a little bit sometimes, Jake.
Yeah,
that's one thing that comes with age. You just start to understand. You need to cheat a little bit, see what you can get away with. So yeah, had to try that.
Yeah, another thing that comes with age is being confused all the time and not knowing what's going on at all.
That is also true.
Yeah. All right. I think so. I've grabbed like 2 of the best values on the board at the onesie positions, and I don't really see anyone who's jumping out a ton to me at receiver right now. So I think I just want to shore up the best running back pick and go Chase Brown. Pretty much a layup every week. This is a guy who should be priced at 8,600, getting every high value backfield carry and one of the league's best offenses. I do worry a bit, with DTR on the other side, that takes a bit of steam out of this game overall. But the total's still sitting at 47, which is pretty solid. And even a bad matchup, Cincinnati's massive favorites, he should get fed here. So can't really poke too many holes in a guy like Chase Brown.
He's had a lot of bad matchups, and he's put up like 20 plus fantasy points in all of them. He really is like Christian McCaffrey at this point. All right, back to Proctor with back-to-back picks.
Yeah. Do I ruin you, Neil, and just take Caleb Williams? That would be horrible to you, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't even care. It's a 3-man. I mean, good luck with Caleb Williams, buddy. I'll just get all the PPR points.
Yeah, Proctor, that's what Neil says when he's on tilt. He's just trying to find it.
No, I'm gonna draft value at the onesie position. I'm gonna draft my least favorite player in the NFL, Anthony Richardson.
Wow,
love that, man. Why do you hate Anthony Richardson so much?
Why is your least favorite player Anthony Richardson? I think he's kind of fun.
I think he's my least favorite DFS player because he's always a great value. You can't stack him with anyone. You never have any idea when he's going to be good or bad. And he only performs when he's absolute massive cash chalk.
I kind of agree.
That's a good list.
I don't hate Anthony Richardson, but like you're kind of right. Like it's so frustrating because you sort of feel like you have to play him to some extent every week, because it's like he could put up 30, it wouldn't surprise you at all. But it's like you don't really want to stack him with anybody, but I also don't want to play him unstacked. So he does kind of screw things up for DFS. So sort of on the same page as you there.
Yeah, and then I am back to back, right?
Yep.
And then to pair him, I'm going to pair him with another player that drives me insane with Calvin Ridley.
All right, 5,700. Nice matchup.
And a
Down to
quarterback who
53.
can actually complete him passes, which
Maybe
is key.
we'll find out. We'll find out if that's true. 53.50 left per player for Proctor. Jake, 54.40 left per player. Time for your fifth pick.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot with salary, assuming I can find some of these more mid-range wide receivers who work. Just check one thing real quick. Yeah, looks like Geno Smith is going to play. Yeah, per Coach Speak Index, Mike McDonald says he's optimistic about it. Still a tad nervous about this pick, but I'll just go with the best sort of projected mid-range value at wide receiver right now in Jackson Smith. In Jigba, volume has been really, really strong as of late, and assuming Geno goes, he should end up being one of the 8 or 10 best projected wide receivers on the slate.
Yep. Nice. And both running backs, I believe, did not practice today for Seattle, so that's kind of a tough situation to figure out who you might want to play if you wanted to play Charbonnet or Kenneth Walker or something. All right, so it's back to me.
They hate Kenny McIntosh, so it'd be really interesting to see
who do they go to.
What they do if they didn't have those top 2 guys.
Yeah.
It's pretty much been McIntosh, though, right? I mean, he's been the guy who's spelled Charbonnet.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like they want to give him like any real work behind Charbonnet. But yeah, I guess they'd have to.
All right, what do I have?
I've always wondered what the Bengals would do if Chase Brown went down, because they clearly hate Travion Williams. I mean, I know they signed Khalil Herbert, but that would have been interesting if there was like a Travion Williams chalk week.
It's interesting too, because they used to really like Travion Williams, but it seems like he has really fallen out of favor.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. I said it before, who I wanted to take next, and you guys did not steal him from me. Shockingly, I cannot believe you heard my brilliant play and decided not to steal Jerome Ford from me. But I guess I will. I'll stick to it. I'm going to go with Jerome Ford, and then I get a second pick. And I'm debating. This is really tough for me. I'm debating just loading up more on Chicago with DeAndre Swift. And I think that's kind of where I'm leaning. I think I would like to play better if I did not already have both DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. But I'm going to continue leaning in. I'm going to take DeAndre Swift at 5,600, kind of sticking to that mid-range. Don't love the construction of my team, but I feel okay about it.
You know the meme that's like, good times create weak men create bad times. This is sort of like great cage match records create absolutely insane teams to submit for a 3-man from Neil Orfield.
No, you lean. Come on, for a 3-man, you lean into
on one 3-man roster.
Just I only have 3 so far. You don't know. Yeah, 100%. I'm putting up 200.
We all know who your quarterback's going to be, man. Don't try to keep the anticipation going. We all know what's happening here.
Should have done it.
Yeah, you should have. It would have been funny.
That's true.
Jake, sixth pick, 5,300 left per player.
Let's see. Not a ton of value at wide receiver, which is making me sort of question my initial ideas here. Garenda is hurt.
Do we think he's not playing?
Well, Garendo's hurt right now. He probably will play.
I asked because I have him on my season-long teams, so it's kind of important to me. I picked him up everywhere.
Yeah, that'll be a major pivot point. He got every backfield touch last week, and he did finish the game, which makes me think he will play. But
good,
always tricky. I'm gonna go with Achane. here, which does put me in a bit of a pinch for wide receiver salary down the stretch, but I think I can make this work. Obviously the usage with Tua has been, right there as overall RB1 for the full season, as has the production. I think the key is that, looking at the last 2 games that Mostert's been active, Achane's actually gotten every single snap and every single backfield touch inside the 10-yard line. I don't fully expect that to hold, but if he gets 70% of inside the 10 work, then this workload is just absolutely awesome. And so is the upside here. So feel pretty good about my team so far. 3 of the, top 6 or so running back plays on the slate. I think obviously a huge gap between these guys and Jahmyr Gibbs, but overall pretty solid.
Jake feels good about his team. Famous last words.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. Proctor, 53.50 left per player. Now you get back-to-back picks.
And Roshan Johnson should be back, right?
I think so. He has been in concussion protocol for a while.
Yeah. Listed full participant today. So if he practices tomorrow, okay. Yeah. I wanted to sort of leverage off of Neil's whole team with DeAndre Swift, but I don't think I can do it now.
I took him. You can't do it because I took him.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Did you take him already?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Now I'm losing my mind. Okay. We're going to go Brian Robinson. I feel like every week nobody wants to play this guy on like early in the week, and then by Sunday he's everyone's favorite GPP play. So I'm going to take him now.
Nice.
Let's see. And then no one took BTJ, right?
No.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
he is on the board.
And then I will go BTJ.
That's also convenient because I always get those 2 confused with the last names Thomas and Robinson, and just having them both on the same team. I know who I'm cheering against this week. Both of the Brian common last names.
Both of the BJs. Yeah.
Both of the
BJs. I do wonder. Like I don't think we'll see Brian Robinson get steamed as much as in previous weeks because they are playing Philadelphia. Yeah, so this is going to be a tougher matchup and obviously much tougher game script environment. I think the argument for B-Rob is generally always going to push for 20 carries when Washington's leading.
But there's also the argument that like he comes out of the game when they're winning by too much.
Yeah. No, I think that is a good one. The game being close will be significantly better for his usage, which overall just hasn't been that impressive, even in the games Eckler has missed, like you said, in part because he's just getting benched in the third quarter.
Yep. All right. Back to Jake for your 7th pick with 4,600 left per player.
Yeah, definitely need to be conscious of salary stuff here. Let me check one thing. All right. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I didn't really expect him to have this big of a role, but Jalen Coker was at an 83% route share last week. And given how dead things look under 5K, I think I'm just going to go with a 4,200 Jalen Coker here. And then I should be able to make the rest work fairly easily.
And Leggette's banged up, right?
Yeah, he is, which is another key note there. Definitely shows some diversity too in Coker's profile that they were willing to play him outside while keeping Thielen in the slot. I think that was part of the reason his projection was just like pretty much non-existent last week, because everyone sort of figured he'd maybe rotate a little bit with David Moore, and not much more than that. But full-blown starter.
All right, so you both have quarterbacks already. So I can leave Caleb. So I know I have 10,300 to spend right now for a flex and a defense. Who do I want? Hang on one sec. All right, so I could go. Cannot do Jamar Chase. He's too expensive. Gibbs is off the board. Brown is off the board. Interesting.
Yeah, dude, your running backs suck.
I feel pretty good about my running backs. Thank you very much.
Yeah. While Neil thinks about this, I'll roast his running backs. So Jerome Ford, I wrote him up in an early look. That was sort of when I thought Jameis Winston was still going to play. And I think, if Winston was in, this sort of would be like the perfect spot for Ford. Obviously, we're always worried about Deontay Foreman stealing touches, stealing inside the 10 work. But if Cleveland's trailing by, 10, 14 points the entire game, then Jerome Ford's just going to be on the field for 80% of snaps. And, while they're moving fast, he's still going to get those inside the 10 looks. That's like the ideal setup. The problem is DTR at quarterback, they're not going to be able to move the ball, still not going to be getting many checkdowns. So, yeah, Ford totally cooked with DTR at quarterback. DeAndre Swift with Roshan Johnson back. I mean, that really doesn't need much more elaborated on because just not going to score touchdowns. Not to mention Neil already drafted the guys who actually do score touchdowns in this offense, and DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. So, tough luck for the running back room on Neil's team.
I feel pretty good about it, and I look forward to my running backs outscoring your running backs. So I have
what a disaster week it would be if Jerome Ford and DeAndre Swift outscored James Conner, Chase Brown, and Devon Achane.
What an awesome week it would be.
I feel like you have to bet Dante Foreman anytime touchdown though, because that's who's going to bury you.
That would absolutely bury me, or just Romo Dunze, right? I mean,
it's true.
Although if I take Caleb, then I guess I sort of benefit from that. All right, wait. So I have 10,300 left. I'm so close to being able to do what I want to do here, which is Saquon Barkley, but there's no $2,000. All right, I'm gonna continue doing what I've been doing, which is loading up on. No, that's too dumb. I'm not gonna do it. I'm tempted by taking the Bears here because I think it'd be funny to continue adding onto my Bears bet, but I don't think I want to actually do that. I do want to go kind of cheap though. They're not a bad defense. All right, so I have 10,300 to spend. If I go Raiders defense, then I have 7,600 left at flex. Damn it. You guys took all the players I wanted. See, I could go either Puka or Bijan with the Bears defense right now. I don't love Puka against the Jets. I just kind of feel like they might key in on him with Sauce Gardner, even though they haven't been great recently. I'm still a little bit worried about it. And I have a little bit of concern with Bijan just because of the quarterback change. Maybe doesn't get targeted quite as much. You just don't know. But I think I'm going to do it anyway. I am going to go with the Bears defense, and I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson, leaving myself exactly how much I need for Caleb Williams or whoever I want, undecided who I'm going to take with my next pick. Back to Jake with your second to last pick here, 4,800 left per player.
Yeah, this has put me in a tough spot. I'm trying to figure out what wide receiver I want here. Can
we throw Scott Barrett's comment up on the screen, please?
Oh, no. Yeah, I was really hoping no one was going to notice that. Yeah, so Scott's talking a lot of shit for a guy who forgot that expected fantasy points existed in week 5. So yeah, Scott, I would remind yourself about your good stats that you invented. I've been giving him a real hard time for that. Man, this is tough. I really do not know what I want to do here. There are like a lot of decent wide receivers in the mid 6, low 7K range. I'm tempted by T. Higgins, but he has a Q tag and it says rest, but I just don't trust it with that guy.
And with Cincinnati, wait, do they still have something to play for? Actually, no, I forgot.
Yeah, they do. They're about 8% to make the playoffs. So if they win out, and then there's like a pair of teams in the AFC where if Cincinnati wins out and those teams lose at least one game, if I'm not mistaken, Cincinnati will make the playoffs. Yeah, so they do still have stuff to play for, but obviously with T. Higgins, Q tags and him just do not go together at all.
No.
You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to take a trip down Narrative Street. I'm going to chase the big score Neil had last week, and then we're going to figure defense out after that. And I'm going to take Devontae Adams. Scott wrote this up in Everything Report. I played a little bit of the Jets last week, but I still wasn't really about it. But I did really like the way Scott wrote up in Everything Report, which was just that, like, look, Rodgers and Adams have nothing to play for outside of contracts. So why wouldn't Rodgers just absolutely feed Adams down the stretch here? And this is a solid matchup against the Rams defense. Also love Scott's idea for the Week 17 cage match. Although, Scott, are you aware that Week 17 cage match would be on Christmas Day? Are you prepared for a Christmas Day show where we draft by XFP instead of PPR?
Have you seen Scott's apartment? I'm not sure that he celebrates Christmas, so you're good to go, man. I'm not sure he celebrates any holidays.
I mean, he has a Christmas shrub.
Yeah, he's got like one fern,
Yeah, that's true.
Very nice. Well, hopefully his wife is fixing that and maybe pushing him in the right direction. That's what wives are for.
I like half of Scott's idea, which is having Scott come back for the Week 18 cage match. I don't love the XFP instead of PPR part. I want to go based on
that would probably be really good for my teams and really bad for Neil's teams, I would imagine.
Who knows? Nobody knows. It's just a made up stat. I prefer my own made up stats where I project better than Jake every week. So I'll go with those ones instead. All right. Back to Johnny for his final two picks, 4,450 left per player, 8,900 total to spend with the flex and a defense.
Yep. I'm going to go. Oh, lost my tab here. And I lost my. I'm gonna go with running back who has a Q tag, but sounds like he is fine. I'm gonna go with Tyrone Tracy and hope that we can get back to him actually playing. And then Bengals defense.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go with Detroit defense to get all the leverage on Neil.
I'm just getting some leverage off of Jake's stud running back here.
Yeah. My stud running back too, because I have Jerome Ford.
Oh, right.
Oh,
that's true.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I didn't even think about the double leverage. Yeah,
double leverage.
No, I considered Detroit, but like I couldn't take that much of a projection hit. And I looked, I was like, well, what was their recent game log? And I was like, oh no, never mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's just all backups. Like it's basically a UFL defense at this point. It's pretty bad in Detroit.
Yeah, it's up to like 13 now players, I think, that were starters or became starters that are now on IR from their defense. It's insane.
Yeah, it is absolutely insane. And I mean, like, so brutal for a team that would have, I think, pretty clearly been the best team in the NFL had it not been for, this insane amount of injuries here. All right, so I just need a defense, 2,500 remaining. This is a pretty easy process of elimination selection for me. I don't really want the Giants against my quarterback. I don't want the Browns against Joe Burrow. Probably don't want Chicago against Detroit, and that sort of just leaves me with the Jets against the Rams. Not a great projection there, but it fits, and I don't get any negative correlation. So it's the best I could do.
There you go. I also already have Chicago against Detroit, which I did want because Jared Goff going to fall apart this week.
Oh yeah, that's right.
All right. So now who do I want to take with my final pick? I mean, I do have Bijan Robinson. I could go with, I guess, Kirk Cousins benched. It's pretty obvious. I'm going with Caleb Williams here. Stacking them up with the entire team. I have 5 Chicago Bears on my team, including the defense. And I feel pretty good about that against Detroit, which was the best team in the NFL, but their defense fell apart. So most of it is against a bad defense, at least. Okay.
Neil, your team has to be the most extreme stack in the history of the show, right? I don't think we've ever seen 5 players from one team selected in a 3-man.
I believe it is.
Proctor, you play more cash than either me or Neil. Would you ever see 5 players from the same team on a main slate 3-man lineup?
No. Well, maybe in like a 3-man tournament where there's like a team that just projects so good, but you would never see them in like a double up. You'd never see that many from one team in a double up.
Okay.
So this is a 3-man. Tournament. So yeah, it's fits the bill.
Yeah, because those guys who I'm not gonna name names, but those guys who kind of like cheat in the 3-mans across the industry, they like to do the where the one guy will overstack the popular team and then the other guy will sort of like understack that team. So
interesting. Huh.
Like where there was a week where we had everyone played 3 Raiders. they might play like 4 Raiders, and then the other guy's going to play less Raiders, and then you pretty much sort of have both sides of like the cash field. Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's cool how those things happen.
Yeah. Entirely coincidence every time, right? I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a total accident.
Total. Every week.
They don't know each other.
Yeah. All right. Well, we still need to do reviews of each of our teams. Mine is up. I just finished, so I will just read off my team. I have the Mega Bear stack with Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and the Bears defense. So really hope Chicago wallops Detroit this week, which I think is pretty certain to happen. Jerome Ford with no Nick Chubb should have kind of a bell cow role in a nice matchup against Cincinnati. So feels okay at 5,600. Jacoby Myers, I think AOC returning is going to bring Jacoby Myers back to life. Trey McBride against Carolina. Again, Kyler came out this week and said, soon Trey McBride is going to see the end zone. I think it happens this week when they can score however they want to against Carolina. I think they're going to force it to Trey McBride in the end zone. And then, of course, Bijan Robinson, hoping that Michael Penix, since I know that he's not a runner, hoping that he's just a rookie quarterback who's going to dump it off to his running back over and over. And Bijan, maybe they just lean on him a little bit more. So I feel good about this team. I think this is a team that's going to win not just the cage match, but probably the Millie also. So, yeah, really, really strong team here. Jake, how do you feel about your team?
Yeah, I feel great. Probably will ship both Millies this week. Not to one up Neil, but yeah, we'll probably take the $20 and the 555 with this one. Got the best value at quarterback and tight end, which really opened up a lot for me with this build. Managed to pay up for 3 different 7K running backs, all of whom I feel really, really good about, all in great game environments, all seeing great workloads. Wide receiver, I'm a little bit more iffy on. Devontae Adams is, obviously the usage has been really great. A bit more of a narrative play, hoping Aaron Rodgers keeps forcing him the ball. Jalen Coker is, seeing the playing time. We just need Bryce Young to actually show up and throw the ball. Week 15, Bryce Young wasn't what we were hoping for, but Jalen Coker still managed to get there. JSN also seeing great volume, and then the Jets defense helped me sort of fill it all out. So I feel pretty good about this team. I also feel cautious about saying, my team's amazing, Neil's team is terrible, because I've done this week after week, and yet the fish still keep getting there. So that's pretty tough. I'll try to be a little bit more humble for the holidays.
Smart. Yeah. If the fish are just going to keep getting there, at some point you just gotta, I don't know, eat your words a little bit. Proctor, how are you feeling about your team?
I'm good. I'm feeling pretty good. Tried to take a little leverage off of your guys's teams with Tyron Tracy and the Bengals there at the end, and I decided to pick a lot of the players that I hate, and so that way, if they do horribly, it's not my fault. It's theirs.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
The players you hate. Yeah, that's a good way to approach things. Just play the players you hate and blame them when things go south. That's what I did in best ball. I mean, all of my teams sucked. It's because I took a bunch of players that I hated, and they all did poorly as I expected. So I was right all along, and that's why my team sucked. Okay.
Exactly. With best ball, you just say there's not a big enough sample. That's all you have to say every single year.
That's true. Yeah,
exactly.
There's not. Who knows?
I mean, by the time you're 200-300 years old, you will have a big enough sample. So it's perfect. You can just keep playing that game until you pass away.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And then by then, who cares? If I die never having won at best ball, like, I don't care. I don't remember. You can talk all the trash you want about me at that point and how bad I was at best ball, because I'm not here to hear it. All right. That does it for the show, for the teams, but let's talk about where people can find our work, where they can find us. Proctor, I'll start with you. Where can people find you? Where can they find your work?
For the most part, they can find me in the Fantasy Points Discord. Usually I'm in the DFS channel. Occasionally, I accidentally end up in the betting channel because, I'm a bit of a boomer and I navigate poorly. So one or the other. You can also find me on Twitter. It is at Johnny P135 DFS.
Very nice. And what work can they find of yours? So what will you have coming up this week?
So for the most part, you'll just find me Sunday mornings doing the stream with Scott, just going through the injury updates. Occasionally, I will be on Cashing Points when life allows, with a busy schedule and a toddler. And so next week on Friday, I will be on Cashing Points with Jake as well.
Very nice. Very nice. Jake, how about you? Where can people find you? What work do you have coming up this week, and where can they find that work?
Yeah, I can find all my stuff over at fantasypoints.com. Also wanted to give props to Johnny Proctor for not mentioning all of Scott's coughing, sneezing, sniffling on the Sunday morning show. Proctor shows a lot of restraint, having a co-host who's so unprofessional on that program. It really is incredible. But yeah, fantasypoints.com for all of my stuff. DFS early look out now on the website. That is free to read. So just head over to Fantasy Points if you want to get a look at that. And then beyond this show, I will also be on Cashing Points every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern time over on the Fantasy Points YouTube channel. Follow that up with the Underdog Drafter Party with Ryan Heath, where me and Ryan draft some Battle Royale teams, talk about the slate, answer any pressing questions you guys may have. So yeah, all that's over on the Fantasy Points YouTube channel. Can catch me live Friday nights, and Jake Tribbey on Twitter.
All right. Well, make sure, if you're not already subscribed to Fantasy Points, check out all of the links in the description of this video. You can find all of our charities that we talked about at the beginning of the show, any Fantasy Points promos going on week to week, whatever is available any given day is going to be in the description of the video. So make sure you check that out. I will be, of course, posting my Thursday Night Football article at Fantasy Points tomorrow. I'll be on my own YouTube channel, the Flannelverse, tomorrow night, breaking down the Thursday Night Football slate. I believe I'm also going to be doing, actually, I'll confirm with Scott now, I'm going to be doing the 2-game breakdown for the Saturday slate for DFS as well at Fantasy Points, and doing that probably on my channel as well. So those are some of the places you can find me. Of course, I'll be doing Outside the Box with Scott on Saturday as usual. And you can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. All right. That's going to do it for the week 16 cage match. Good to all of you. Good luck to both of you. Thanks everybody for not real good luck. I mean that like not insincerely, of course. I want to win this thing. But thank you all for hanging out with us throughout the show. We will catch you 2 weeks from now. We're not going to be doing the show next week, but 2 weeks from now, we'll be back for the week 18 cage match. See you then.
What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.